Now and then I think of when we were together.
Now you're just some music that I used to review. My name is Take Walker and I love music! Yes, my name is Take Walker and this is episode 23 of I Love Music. I am inundated with albums that I've been getting off of Bandcamp and other places around the internet, so I'm just going to do a whole episode dedicated to that, which means I'm not going to do my usual thing at the beginning. I'm going to do Meet the Family though, and I'm going to talk about an artist who should really need no introduction by this point. She's been doing very well for herself, and that's Lilliness, Nikki Kinsman. She is a wonderful, wonderful vocalist. She has such a light and well-controlled voice. She does play guitar. She has recorded a number of songs doing acoustic guitar in the background. She tends to do covers, but pretty much everything she does is amazing. I mean, the only way that I have found for me not to like a song that she does is if she does a song that I simply do not like. I'm talking specifically about Judas by Lady Gaga. I hate that song, and not even she can make it that great. But anything that she's done is worth checking out, and I really suggest that you go and listen to this girl because she's really amazing. She's one of FA's biggest talents, I would say. So please go check her out. Now going to the reviews, this is going to be a lot of fun, and I will say now this is a combination of almost entirely either furry or brony, so expect that. We're starting off with Deharmonized by Technomancer. Technomancer is an artist I've been listening to for a long time. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned him before. For those who haven't heard of him, his original account was Sonic Technomancer. She shortened to just Technomancer when he changed over to the Vampire Technofox account. His music style includes a wide range of industrial and darkwave electronic genres. He's got a great deep voice that he puts to good use really often. I don't know if this is actually his first album, but let's pretend for the moment. The opener, which is the title track, is sorely misnamed because he self-harmonizes all over the place. If you've never heard Technomancer's work, this is an excellent example of what he's capable of. It even includes some 8-bit guitar near the end, which I never expected. Next we have Without You, a love song with a classic Technomancer dark pop sound. I particularly like the lyrics of Hyperload Overkill, which uses the Matrix's concept calling the operator for an exit to express feelings of frustration and despair with the world. After a short instrumental interlude, we're treated to more 8-bit percussion and a thick and foggy atmospheric soup of sound. Then we flip the switch from love and longing to Sturm and Drang, as a past lost love has promised vengeance by death. The lead track Technomancer features some awesome robotic filters over the vocals. So I guess the final question is, would I buy this? I'm not sure. It's a decent album to be sure, but I don't think it's quite up to the standards of what I buy. I must have fallen asleep or something between tracks 5 and 9 because I don't remember them. On the other hand, I tend to lead towards the buy it now side when it comes to amateurs, and especially furry artists, because, well, I like having their albums. So I don't know. I definitely still recommend that others check this out. 7 out of 10. Stepping forward, I'm going to add another album of his too, which he uploaded in its entirety to his new FA account in September of 2010. That's how far behind I am. It opens with an awesomely epic, sweeping, ambient-ish track, followed by a version of Stay With Me, which is another one of my favorites. After this comes Musica Tecnologica, which is sung in Italian and is honestly really darn cool. This record is chock full of mellow songs about love and longing, paints a really great picture with a nice finish. This is definitely a big improvement over Deharmonized. I think I'll pick it up sometime. Other good tracks are Wish and the instrumental Fairlight, 8.5 out of 10. Next is Equestria 2036 by N723. I don't know where I heard about this because it was released July 2011 and it's currently January 2012. And as I record this, it's currently June 2012. It opens with kind of a boopy electronic piece that sort of goes all over the place and doesn't exactly sound all that coherent. It's not a great way to start off, all things considered. I wish I knew where I heard about this album now because overall it feels very amateurish and poorly put together. It's like someone's second attempt at Fruity Loops. Track 6, Unknown Desires, features a very strident and highly off-tempo synthline that made me jump out of my seat. The Night Still Lasts Forever sounds like a very poor cover of a Robert Miles track. All in all, this is not a good way to start off this whole deal. 3 out of 10. Skipping ahead to something a little more recent, General Mumble's a brony artist I've been following for a while, so I'm rather excited to hear this album. It opens with a soft intro, then we get into an almost title track, Spike. Oh, and this album, by the way, is called Spikezilla, which features both Flutterguy saying Spike's name in a very creepy Twilight chorus calling for him from beyond the black pits of Algthorn. I cannot convey in words how spine-tingling and terrifying this song is. Next is a very excellent remix of Rainbow Dash's bit from At the Gala. It's really exciting, honestly. That's the only word I can think to describe it. All Fine is a high-tension remix of Twilight's Clock is Ticking line from Less Than Zero. After this is a 2-part drum and bass romp for the Season 2 pilot called Wings and Horns, memorable at the very least for the screwed vocal line of "Fucking give us our wings and horns back." Gator in the Tub is the first to feature original vocals in the General's classic darkwave style. This is followed up by a short interlude with an emoticon for a title, and then the happy hardcore Pony Sidon's Race, another short track, and Nerduel based around the episode of the same title. The album has at this point taken a turn for the distinctly chippy. Not that that's bad, it does cause a distinct split in the feel of the album halfway through though, and that may be its downfall. It's difficult to judge honestly, since I've familiar with so many of these songs and enjoy them, but a lack of cohesiveness would keep the score low. This is really a fun listen and a good cross-section of what General Mumble is capable of, totally worth the $2 price tag and more. 7 out of 10. The next album, Duke Remix, looks to be a bunch of his released songs, maybe a few unreleased, and some remixes. It starts off with a remix of Cupcakes, loping electronic and rather nice. There's an Art Attack remix of She's a Pony, which has all kinds of weird spacey effects on it. Pie is based around Applejack and Soren's conversation with the Gala, with a lot of chip and some weird vocal warping. There are also some tracks which are other artists mimicking Mumble's style. That seems a weird thing to put on your album, but okay. Standouts include Mumble Invades Equestria, Test Pony, and his remix of For the Lunar Republic, but I think this is really just a collection of odds and ends. It doesn't work as an album. 5.5 out of 10. Lastly, Mumble has a third album, Hemicrania. This one is, I believe, not pony related, and it opens with a bombastic bite down, harsh noisy techno that I kind of can't really place, but I like it. Some of these are harsher than others, like the poorly titled Shark Sharts, which starts off nice and then it gets all weird for a minute. Tukas Carulus has a nice industrial feel to it. I really like the squeaky chop vocals on Maneater Manatee, and Bluejack makes good use of chop vocals as well. Silly video game Bleep Bloops is fun and samples some really well-known games. Escape to Ionosphere is an excellent track I've heard before. Unfortunately, this has an experimental tag on it, and that really shows. As a result, the album isn't what you'd call coherent, and some tracks are far and away more enjoyable than others. It's worth checking out at least. 6.5 out of 10. Next is The Adventure by Aviators. Despite the plural name, Aviators is just one Brody, and all his stuff has been pretty remarkable so far. We start with the title track, jaunty strings atop moving synths sending us on an adventure. The vocals are a little strained in this track, so it's not the best opener, but this does not last, thankfully, as the melancholic and Trixie-centered Second Chances shows off what he can do much better. The first instrumental track is really nice and leads us into the Scootaloo-themed ballad Just Like You. Never Back Down is, I think, the song I was waiting for on this album. It's really amazing, a pleading dark electro track about daring do, featuring the talented D Notive and the splendiferously named Yelling at Cats. The dark feel continues to the next few tracks, a very nice emotional point. Canterlot 3000, the second instrumental, is really awesome, and I'm starting to run out of descriptors for this album. Spirit of Chaos is a great Discord track, the best in Zero Beat Brony's Discord. As far as capturing a character, which is what a lot of these songs are doing, this might be the best on the album. We get a soft counterpoint with Tonight, what I'd call a party-inspired love song to Vinyl Scratch. It's got a very surprising vocal cast, something I expect more out of contemporary indie rock. Of course, it's the chilling rock anthem One Last Letter featuring Bronyfy that is far and away the standout. It makes for a really emotional end with Friendship, chronicling Twilight's fall to Discord. The Adventure overall isn't a flawless album, that opener and also the final track both being quite the letdown, but it's definitely worth the $8 price tag, though I'm not sure it has a great appeal outside of Brony, so keep that in mind. I still recommend checking it out. 8 out of 10. Next is Akoto Moonstrife, and 2 albums. Akoto is a trance artist I've been watching on FA for a while. He's got 2 albums re-released, I think, on his Bandcamp account, so I figured I'd check him out. We start with Beyond the Dream from 2008. It feels very much like the first album, with somewhat minimalist arrangements and simplistic melodies. I've heard similar things from furry artists before. It definitely doesn't show off his work very well. Skip that one. Suspended Blue came out 2 years later, displaying market improvement. It expands on what Akoto can do, mixing a lot of piano into the electronic stuff. The second track, Angel's Doubt, is a good example of this, and it's lovely. There's a great Ocarina of Time remix on it, followed up by Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, which is kind of a bizarre inclusion. Of particular note is Akoto's piano cover of the Jolly Roger Bay theme from Super Mario 64, one of the best pieces of video game music ever made, which he crafts into something even greater than its origins. A lot of the tracks on the album are very short, which is kind of a shame, but all in all, it's quite a nice album, and as I said, a market improvement over the first. Definitely check this one out. Beyond the Dream gets a 5 out of 10, and Suspended Blue gets a 7. Next is D Freak Crush by Kit Caliber. This is another one I've been listening to on YouTube as Renard's uploaded the tracks. I've liked most of what I heard, so I want to see how all it works together in album format. The style is hardcore techno, but not the ear rapey sort. There's a good bit of variation around the edges too. Some tracks are closer to speedcore, some have trance elements, things like that. Honestly, I'm just sort of waffling because it's hard to describe, yet I enjoy it. There's a very video gamey feel to it, even though you wouldn't hear this kind of music in a game. It may have something to do with the design of this album cover. It's very short, but everything fits together nicely. Definitely check it out. Standouts include Race Storm, Kingdom Grand Prix, Extend Suicide, Disinfect the Dead, Gunner's Heaven, 3 Wonders, and Radio Dreamin', which sounds like pretty much the whole album to me. 7.5 out of 10. Next is Don't Even Trip by Derpy Grooves. First released by a Brony artist I'm unfamiliar with. It starts out with a slow chip tune that features voices from the show that are so highly distorted it took me a long time to figure out what they were exactly. If I thought that was distorted, the next track actually has some off-key bits and was hard to listen to at first. It's a really weird album. It's mostly chip tune and distorted vocals. Very little of this is pony related too, so I'm not sure what the motivation behind this was. It sort of feels like someone messing around with music software for the first time, and I don't get it. 4 out of 10. Next, we're going to talk about Silvahound. Silva's a guy who will put a hip-hop beat to anything, but I found him via his Pony music, and now he's put out 2 albums together. The first Pony OC EP, dedicated to about a half dozen Phantom OCs, which I assume are well known, though I myself have only heard half of them. He's brought a nice house feel to these characters, though due to my unfamiliarity with most of them, I can't really say that the lyrics have anything to do with the characters. Tenno's track, which I can only describe as Alien House, definitely works for that group of motherfucker. It's a pretty decent house album nonetheless, though the remixes sadly don't add much. Standouts include Sunset Rose and the Singratina remix, Velvet, Tennophore, and Sybil Stripes. The download includes a song called Honey Dip, which is just okay. The second album is called Party Cannon, again 7 tracks and 3 remixes. It opens with a very haphazard remix of the intro theme. The title track is alright, I like the vocal effects used, but the instrumentation is far too harsh for my taste. The remix is far better. Call me underwhelmed, this is definitely not Silva's best work. Notably, this Junior Speedsters remix, 20% faster, only the second I've ever heard, is pretty bad, although the remix is some epic filthy dubstep. I'm not sure what was going on in this EP, but the remixes do add something this time. Check out the Pony OCs one instead. I liked Epic Pie, Eclipse, and all 3 remixes. The download comes with a track called Junebug, which is alright. I recommend checking out his account nevertheless, because there's a lot more stuff that it's really neat. Party OC gets a 7 out of 10, and Party Cannon a 5. Next is How to Dodge Lasers by Dryface. This is neither furry nor brony. I have no idea who did this or where I got it, but it's an album composed entirely on the Korg DS10 for Nintendo DS. It's pretty sparse all things considered, though at least the melodic progressions demonstrate proficiency with music. Maybe this is all DS10 can do, in which case why did I buy it? Some of it sounds like very bizarre game music. Fight Town is very new-gen Mega Man, probably the best track on the album. I also like A New Girl Appears. It's just kind of okay overall though. 5.5 out of 10. Next is Dusk Project by Aurea. Aurea is great. If you are not watching this guy, you really need to. I don't know if this is his first album or what, but he recently advertised it, even though it came out in 2007. Well, okay, let's see what it sounds like 5 years ago, I guess. It appears to be some sort of video game soundtrack sort of thing, if only theoretical. There's an intro, a stage or option select, indoor and outdoor music, something about transformation, and a game over. And I know the opening song. It's a jaunty track of his that I've had for quite a while, and I'm very good at that. The outdoor music is, I believe, a much more straight-up chiptune version of another song of his, Beneath the Shadows. The indoors music is really jaunty and bubbly, and not one I'm otherwise familiar with. I really like it, although it's a loop, so there's no real ending. The Metamorphosis Transformation duo is really powered up victory sort of fare. The game over is properly sad, and it's followed by Danger, which sounds like a real frantic final area sort of deal. Bottom line, if you like chiptune, especially the sort that sounds like high-quality NES music, you'll love this album, and no doubt Aurea's work in general, because this is the kind of thing he does and does well. Seriously, everything he touches turns into gold, and this man can do no wrong. 8 out of 10. Next is My Life is a Pixel Volume 1 by Odyssey and the DNA Team. This is Eurobeat Brony, who I was talking about last episode. Oddly, this came out back in 2010, so I wonder why I only heard about it now. It opens with Cherry Blossoms, and this reminds me of Luna in a way because it's a little weak in production value when compared to his later works. This is apparently a newer mix of an older song, and the vocals show their age, being both weak and quiet. The interludes and parts of the verse I can barely even hear. Her roots in jazz is, oddly enough, a jazz interlude. The next track, an instrumental, adds nothing. Magnetic Love is very 60s pop. I sense a theme of non-Eurobeat under the Travis Stebbins name. I actually kind of like it though. Starlight isn't bad, Wings of Burning Love is really good, and definitely the best song on the album. Overall, this is kind of disappointing, but I chalked it up to its age. It's very much a first Eurobeat album, 6.5 out of 10. Next is Fade by Drew Eddie Jones. Our own Drufus' first album debuted in 2009, and again I wonder, why am I just now getting to it? Well, whatever, let's see what's in store. It starts on an understated note, a simple, hushed acoustic tune showing the rawest essence of Drew's style. He adds in some nice slides in the second track and pulls a warmer, richer folk sound for the third. The title track is mournful and heartbreaking. Only Imagination picks things up a bit, though it still retains that slightly sad edge. The chorus is harmonized, hummed, and lovely, and there's banjo in it, which is awesome. It's easily the best song on the album. He carries the banjo through to the next track, where it by no means overwhelms, but keeps things feeling solid. Every time is about as jaunty as you can get on this album, but it's spirited in its lamentations. Yeah, this isn't a happy album by any means, but it is very well put together, featuring excellent work by a guy who blends voice with guitar and sings about the times in life that aren't all that great. It may not cheer you up if you're feeling down, but it is, in a way, strangely uplifting. 7.5 out of 10. Next is Unearthed by Zircon. Zircon is, to my knowledge, a video game remixer and composer, though I don't know which came first. He does really awesome stuff, and you should check him out on OC Remix. This is an album he released in 2012, compiling a bunch of his tracks. It starts with Amazing Trance, featuring the lovely Jillian Aversa on vocals. I believe she's actually his wife, which is why he's very lucky and gets to work with her all the time. It does not let up. By track 4, we're listening to Dubstep. This is great. If you love trance, you'll love this. And the best part is, I can get it as a physical disc, and I have it sitting on my desk, and I haven't listened to it since I got it. Standouts include Just Hold On, Star Trails, Devil's Spirit, Shadows, Above the City, Mind Better, Cubic Movement, Planetscape, and Over Easy. 8.5 out of 10. Next are two albums by Gears of the Apparatus, which you can now find under its own name on FA. The first one is the End Times 7-track EP. It starts off with a sort of plodding dark track going into just deserts, it's supposed to be deserts, which is dubstep the way it's supposed to be used, heavy on the dub. There's a lot of that going on in this. Dubstep that is not what we've come to expect from the genre label. It's definitely refreshing and worth listening to. Other standouts include Berserk, Unison, and Language. The other album is Ignition Assault, which is his first EP from back in late 2011, 5 tracks and 3 remixes. I started listening to his most recent release only to find out that it's a compilation album comprised of these two. It seems early to release a compilation, but whatever. The title track is slow dubstep, something I've never really experienced before. Very interesting. The beat and cluster cuss feels slightly off sync for most of the song, but that may be intentional. Then it gets all industrial and gets way better. Firestarter is very cool. In the same way as the previous track, it starts off light and then changes up a bit and gets heavy in the middle. It's like dubstep and bass or something. Perihelion is another good one, a hard chiptune over drills. The remixes are all of cluster cuss, oddly. The Fox Guy remix is the best, and this doesn't surprise me as he's been doing good work. Overall, another album worth listening to. Both albums get a 7 out of 10. Next is Retail by Chicago Lolly, later for Affinity, who has finally compiled a bunch of his old works into one album, and I'm rather excited because it contains remastered versions of songs I've enjoyed for quite a while. It starts fittingly enough at the beginning, which is just sort of a soft intro leading into Business Hours, which starts off fairly normally and then becomes a bit more like a sound collage of saxophone and piano in the middle. Once the beat comes back in, it sounds good though. The Opposition sounds very Daft Punk, with Zoog Tube vocals and buzzing synth leads. Marketing is one of the 2 songs I did previously. It's overall got a much tighter, less harsh production. This remastering is worth getting excited about. The song itself sounds like the theme song from every 60s game show ever. The next track, High Price, is a really funky house tune with some bizarrely discordant horn work. The Grand Height Going Up is the other song I knew previously. It samples heavily from some 70s Motown tune that I've never heard of, Up in a Puff of Smoke by Polly Brown, and for its near 7-minute length, it's fairly repetitive. But again, the remastering has improved it considerably, and it's nevertheless very infectious. Oh, and I also know Out With The New, a drilling sort of electro track and probably one of Chicago's best. Again, with the remastering, it's better than ever before. The album ends with the somewhat understated What You Do To Me. Overall, it's a really weird blend of 60s and 70s pop culture with mostly house, the like of which you will no doubt never hear again, unless he does more. Check it out, 7 out of 10. I need to drop a plug here for the Seasons EP by Griffin Village, also known as Jackalat. For having only 4 songs, it's been quite a ride, and at least 2 of them are some of the best music the fandom has produced. Please check it out. Next is Equestria Improvisations by Ponybization. This is a brony who specializes in, what else? Piano improv. His songs tend to be meandering, as improv is more or less meant to be, and incorporate recognizable themes from the show and songs. It's a very calm and soothing album overall, the sort you can get easily lost in, and as such doesn't have much in the way of standout tracks. I would recommend it to anyone who enjoys soft piano, however. I like scholarly, spirited, and demure wind. 6.5 out of 10. Next is Pony Related by Chain Algorithm. I had just been wondering what happened to this guy. This is really weird. It starts off as pretty recognizable D&B, but the first track has a couple change-ups, and the second is just, what? Life on Vapor does kind of the same thing as the first track, but it's more of a, well, I don't really know how to describe it. Learn and Blossom is straight piano trance, which is nice to be able to say, and a good track to boot. That's the only one so far where I feel like I can hear snatches of actual pony music influence. I also like Spreading Her Wings too, the one with an actual pony-sounding title. It's a really weird album, and like I said, I don't have much of an idea of what's going on. 5.5 out of 10. And I'm going to end with the second Bronies for Good album, Seeds of Kindness. Hot on the heels of Smile, it's 41 tracks and over 2.5 hours long. The second track is the first one that sticks with me, a light jazzy instrumental called Spring Is Coming. Don DeVore's She Can Fly is a great piece about Fluttershy I've heard prior to the album release. Candy Eyes by Face Explodey is an awesome cross between dream and new wave, reminding me of a lot of contemporary indie electronica. It's actually a title track by Cyril the Wolf, and it's amazing hard rock. That dude is awesome. Mew unsurprisingly knocks it out of the park with lilting Fachhomer for Hobbit. Fuzog's Feeling Whimsical is energetic, bouncy, and aptly titled. I also like Ghost XB's Triumph at Last, which is very video gamey. Isenbach, of course, does awesome stuff, and it's about Lyra this time. Scarlet Peace, an artist who has really yet to impress me, just impressed me with The Moonlit Garden, a very well-produced piece of indie music that evokes a lot of modern artists. The album ends with a long piece from Ponybization. Compared to Smile, I think I may like this one better. There's less overall cohesion and no real theme, but the production values have improved along with the overall talent pool. There were very few songs that I didn't like, or that I didn't think really deserved a spot on this, and of course there's always the charity aspect. This is definitely worth a donation. 7.5 out of 10. I'm going to have to stop there. I've been recording for almost a half an hour now and my face hurts. But I hope you enjoyed this internet-dedicated episode. I still have a lot more to do, so I'm probably going to try and throw a couple onto everything that I do from now on. So stay tuned for more. I have nothing witty to say at the end of this episode. Goodbye. Oh, fucking HP sauce, man. Next is The Adventure by Aviators. I did 2 reviews of this album somehow. I did 2 reviews of this album somehow. The album's so good I reviewed it twice.